What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is the continuation of Mixed Six-Pack Theme Month here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today comes from the Ballast Point Brewing Company, and they're out of San Diego, California. And this is their Grapefruit Sculpin. So they're calling this an India Pale Ale with natural flavors added. Comes in at 7% alcohol by volume, 70 IBUs in the time of review. This can is approximately 7 weeks old. So Ballast Point, I've had quite a few beers from them in my past, and I really do dig their Sculpin series, from their regular Sculpin to the habanero version to this one. I've had all three of them, and I really do enjoy them. I haven't had some of their latest releases, like the Pineapple Sculpin, which I think was released a couple years ago, their Aloha Sculpin, and their Spruce Tip Sculpin. I haven't had any of those, but the three OG releases, I really do enjoy. The base Sculpin is excellent, or used to be excellent. I haven't had it in a long time. And then they released this one, and this is probably my favorite of the three. I really do enjoy grapefruit IPAs. I've mentioned that numerous times on my channel, how I like grapefruit infused beers, especially IPAs, but I really don't like grapefruit, the actual fruit itself. And this was kind of the first grapefruit infused beer that I believe I had, and it was delicious. I haven't had this one in, yeah, it's probably been over 4 years, but I saw this in the Mix 6 location at my local Wegmans, and I was like, man, yeah, time to go. And so I grabbed it, and here we are. So I don't like that they say India Pale Ale with natural flavors added. I don't know if they're actually using real grapefruit or just grapefruit extract or some kind of natural flavor, which would be the indication based on the label. But whatever, I remember this one having a really nice grapefruit flavor, and I like the base Sculpin. The only issue with Sculpins in general, and I know my buddy Jeff, aka No Jinx, can speak to this one, the price point on Ballast Point has always been high. Even after Constellation bought them, I thought maybe it would go down a little bit. It's not uncommon to find 6 packs of Sculpin, the base, the grapefruit, the habanero, any of the variants from anywhere from 12, which would be the really low point, which is fine, to 18, 16, 18 bucks a 4-pack. It used to be about $15.99 a 6-pack in my area, and that doesn't sound crazy high nowadays. We all pay 16, 18, $20 for a 4-pack of a New England style crazy double dry hop, whatever. But there's a lot of hops used in there, a lot of crazy methods and whatnot. This is an old school IPA with natural flavors added. I don't think it should be almost $3 a can, but whatever. Anyway, let's give it a pour. That pours out like your old school West Coast style IPAs, which basically Sculpin is. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I haven't had this one in well over 4 years. I want to say it was 2014, maybe early 2015. But yeah, that pours out this really nice, it's pretty much filtered, has a straight on orange color to it, maybe a little bit of a slight copper color to it, about a 2-finger of a, I want to say that's a cream colored head. It's not straight off white. It's more cream, not approaching tan. Decent carbonation. The bubbles themselves look kind of big, not as compact and creamy, more soap sudsy, but yeah, whatever. Looks like an old school American IPA. Now this is 7 weeks old, so not super fresh, and that's one thing I always mention with the mixed 6-packs. You don't know what you're gonna get freshness. I've had this one though a couple weeks old, and I've had this one actually, one can I had long ago was 3.5 months old. And yeah, it changes for sure. But at the end of the day, I think this one drinks pretty well with a little bit of age on it. It's not like it's trash or anything. Some people get this 3 months old and will not touch it. Hey, more power to them. For me, at 7 weeks, I think this should be fine. And the nose indicates that. Definitely get fresh squeezed grapefruit. They say natural flavors added. Probably not real grapefruit here, but it comes off in the nose as authentic grapefruit. It has a little bit of acidity to it. It's not overly sweet. Yeah, definitely there. Smells really just refreshing. Then underneath it, I'm getting nice orange and just generic citrus tones, orange, a little bit of lemon, touch of maybe stone fruit, mango, peach. Has a decent malt base to it, a little bit of a bready, almost slightly caramel malt base, your older school American IPA malt base. Nice fresh grass aroma to it. Slight touch of resinous pine. Yeah, it reminds me of when I first had this beer, just on the smell. I hope the taste is exactly the same. It just smells pretty damn good, so let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Man, that's nice. Drinking so many of these new age IPAs, your milkshake IPAs, your double dry hopped IPAs, your New England style IPAs. It's nice when I get a beer like this that's the old school West Coast style IPA. Even though there is grapefruit in here, this has such a nice, like, resinous, piney bitterness. And I would have never said that 5 years ago. I would have been like, this, I can't handle this. Too much pine, too much resinous hop character. But I like that now. So right up front, you're hit with a lot of sweetness from that malt character, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of breadiness, like a crackery almost, just sweeter malt, like grainy character. As it passes through the palate, that grapefruit hits. And it's sweet at first, like almost like a ruby red grapefruit, but then it turns into like a pithy, almost grapefruit peel-esque type of character. And then the bitterness starts to kick in about midway through the palate, and it lingers onto the back. This is resinous pine. It has a resinous just hop character to it. This is moderate to high as far as the bitterness goes for my palate right now as we sit. I don't remember being this bitter, but again, my palate has changed so much since I've had this beer that, you know, this has just kind of hit me a bit differently, but in a very nice way. It finishes, yeah, moderately bitter, moderately to high bitter. Yeah, actually, it's pretty damn high when it comes to the bitterness. I'm kind of surprised for me. Semi-dry, not much residual sweetness, and yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like the entire, like the thing is I'm not getting a lot of the hop character here. It's like kind of the grapefruit's kind of overriding everything. I am getting slight like underlying orange like peel tones, a little bit of stone fruit, like a peppery mango skin. But this is like basically grapefruit, bready caramel malt, and that big resinous hop, resinous pine finish. There's a little bit of like a grassiness and a little bit of that citric character, a little touch of that stone fruits, but those are very minute when it comes to the characteristics. At 7%, the body on this one's about medium, maybe a touch over medium body, so that's really nice. The mouthfeel, this isn't New England style. This is old school, right? So this has like a nice, crisp, effervescent mouthfeel to it, spritzy on the palate. There's a nice smoothness there. Yeah, it's nice. This is the thing for me. This kind of blew my mind when I first had it like 5 years ago. Just because I don't think at that point I had any like grapefruit infused beers. And I just remember it working extremely well. It's a little bit more bitter than I remember. Now that could be because there's 7 weeks on this can, that because of my palate, could be because of batch variation, whatever the case may be, right? But for me, this is resonating with my palate as it's moderately bitter to high bitter on the I guess say 70 IBUs. I never take, even though it's funny, here's the thing. I have OCD when it comes to like, you notice it if you watch enough of my videos where like everything's kind of similar. I always mention the ABV and the IBUs and the can on date, blah, 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 right? So I don't really care about IBUs too much because perceived bitterness is way different than the IBU rating. So many times I've had, 80 IBU IPAs that drink like they're 10, and then I've had 25 IBU beers that drink like they're 50. It all depends on the balance between the malt and the hops. That's just the international bitterness units, but it doesn't usually translate to how bitter a beer is for me. In this case, if you told me this was 70 IBUs, I'd be like, yeah, it might even be higher for my palate because it is bitter. And I'm just left with like this resinous pine bitterness on the back of the palate, which is welcomed. And again, 5 years ago, I wouldn't say that. So Grapefruit Sculpin from Ballast Point. I really do dig this one. I don't think I can give it a 4.25, so I'm going to give it a high 4 out of 5. I'm gonna go 4.1 out of 5 for Grapefruit Sculpin from Ballast Point. I don't know if this is my favorite Sculpin anymore. Maybe I have to revisit the base one, and maybe, do they still make the habanero one? Maybe I gotta try some of the other variants, but this brings back memories. And price and availability for a $1.83 a can in a mixed 6-pack, every day of the week, I would just totally buy this, and I would recommend you do too. But if it is a $14, $16, $18 6-pack, like so many of you out there experience with Ballast Point products, I don't know if I'd buy it. I don't know if I'd buy it for like, $2.50, $3 a can. Maybe. I think maybe to try it once, but it'd be tough to rebuy for me. I don't think I'd buy this again unless I find it under $2 a can. It's still pretty good. I think it's decent value for how it, regular, but like in this form, under $2 a can, great value. And availability, wherever Ballast Point gets distribution. Ballast Point gets distribution in so many different states now, and I'm sure a bunch of different countries. So you probably should be able to find this one. I think most people should, but if not, I want to say it's kind of weird because Constellation bought them, and I don't know if they expanded distribution, but I imagine you can find Ballast Point in a lot of different areas. So yeah, Grapefruit Sculpin, 4.1 out of 5. Pretty damn good beer. 7%. I have a little bit of like perceived alcohol stringency on the palate and in the chest. So this drinks like a 6.5%, 7% beer. One of the few beers that I have, but I'm okay with it because it says it's 7%. Kind of drinks like it. 70 IBUs, kind of drinks like it. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another mixed 6-pack theme beer review. because this has been a lot of fun. I need to maybe do this every year. Definitely going to keep it going in the following months, doing one mixed 6-pack per month instead of an entire month. But I really do dig this just because I get the chance to revisit and retry beers I haven't had. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop, flatten my gums. I'm not even happy. This is the first beer of the day. What's happening? I'm too excited? I don't know. We're going to shut it down though. Appreciate everybody stopping by. To the next one. Cheers.